Colin here from How to Cultivate to go through with you all that you need to know for your grow zone in August. We'll be going through all the grow zones here today, 3 through 10. So there are a few that we won't be going over, but these are all the ones in the United States. So hopefully listen for your grow zone. You can also check the timestamps down below for a quicker access to the information that you need. The information today is going to be coming out of this book, Gardening Wisdom and Know-How, or Garden Wisdom and Know-How. You can find this on Amazon. It's a thick book full of all sorts of information, and one of the best pieces of this book is that month-by-month breakdown of what to do in your grow zone. So we're starting, like I said, with grow zone 3, going and growing to grow zone 10. Here we go. So, grow zone 3. Finish planting your lettuce and spinach. Middle of the month, pick those flowers off of your tomatoes to devote energy to ripening fruit. Be ready to cover tomatoes, peppers, and beans to protect against the first frost. Harvest your everlasting flowers after a period of warm and dry weather. All right, let's go on here. Renew those mulches, prune raspberry canes, and set out new strawberry plants. So that's grow zone 3, going on to grow zone 4 now. Water your garden to keep everything growing fast. Make your last sowing of spinach and cold hardy lettuce. Dig into your beds some compost before setting out your Chinese cabbage and fall brassicas. Root cuttings of perennial herbs to grow indoors as it gets colder outside. Sow your poppies and pansies for some fall color if you're a flower grower. And protect your grapes and late-bearing fruit trees from birds. All right, that's all for zone 4. Moving on to zone 5 now. Sow spinach, turnips, and cold hardy lettuce for fall. Water your garden if it doesn't receive at least 1 inch of rain per week. All right, if you'd like to create a new garden bed or rejuvenate an old one from last year, cultivate the space well and sow a cover crop. Things like oats and rye are really good. You can also sow biennial flowers, trim the ragged tops of perennials in pots. Let's see, prune your raspberry canes and top dress your strawberries with fresh compost. All right, that was zone 5. Going on to zone 6 now. Plant rainbow lettuce, radishes, and colorful kales for your fall salad garden. Plant plenty of spinach, it says in zone 5. Harvest your potatoes, onions, beans, and squash. Thin your fall salads, salad greens specifically. Late in this month, set out pansies. Sow Shirley poppies and snapdragons. Collect your seeds from the favorite annual flowers that you planted this year and water your strawberries. And go ahead and transplant those robust runners. We just made a video on our channel, a short actually, about runners and explaining what their use is. So maybe check that out if you haven't already. Moving on now, that was grow zone 6, going on to grow zone 7. And a little shout out, Mitchell, one of the members of How to Cultivate, he grows in grow zone 7, so this is important for him. All right, early this month, start indoors for your fall garden, things like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Chinese cabbage, and scallions. You can also sow directly in ground carrots, beets, and kale, as well as chard. And it says to use your taller plants to provide some partial shade for these seeds. I think that's a great idea. Okay, moving on here. Make your last sowings of squash and cucumbers. Plant fall peas at the middle of the month. And then when Labor Day is near, you can direct seed kohlrabi, kale, and collards in the garden. And then keep watering the fall-bearing raspberries and ever-bearing strawberries and replenish their mulch as needed this month. That was zone 7. Moving on to zone 8 now. Start basil, cucumbers, and squash indoors. Plant them after they sprout. You can direct seed bush beans, pumpkins, and sweet gourd at the middle of the month, followed by peas and dill. All right, let's start to sow our carrots in a bed of loose soil. Prune back your okra to 1/3 to encourage side shoots to start growing. Okay, start celery, broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts indoors and get ready to plant the seedlings outside when they have 6 true leaves. Rake your orchard floor to clean up anything that might interrupt the life cycle of the pests. We want to interrupt that life cycle so that they don't come back next year. All right, and that's all for zone 8. Moving on to zone 9, another shout out. This is the zone I grow in. So here on How to Cultivate, we're showing you zone 7 and zone 9. This is zone 9. So this is the most important section for me. Let's see what we have. Sow watermelons early this month, along with peas and sweet corn. At the middle of the month, you can begin to sow tomatoes and peppers transplanting tomatoes and peppers. All right, so you should have all those already grown. This is something that's kind of surprising to me, that you can plant peppers and tomatoes this late in the season. Interesting. You can direct seed cucumber, squash, and bush beans as long as they're in partial shade. Plant basil and dill. Renew fading flower beds by filling them with fast-growing things like marigolds, zinnias, and harvest your fruit trees and use that fruit before it spoils. And then that can bait in some pests, like it said, fruit beetles, as well as, it says you can use a narrow-necked jar to trap those beetles. Very cool. All right, and last but not least, Zone 10, the hottest zone here in the United States. Let's see what they say for Zone 10. Set out tomatoes and pepper transplants at the mid-month, then cover them with a shade cloth to shield them from that hot afternoon sun. Start seeds of hardy perennials indoors, things like flowers, like pansies and daisies. Direct sow foxglove, cosmos, and hollyhock, some more flowers. And pinch your chrysanthemums to encourage new blossoms. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed a full rundown of August for every zone. We're going to try to do this every month. If this is something that you would enjoy and you'd like to have at your disposal every single month, let us know in the comments. And always come back for more gardening videos and shorts to the How to Cultivate channel. I hope you enjoyed, and if you learned something, please subscribe.